I passed.
I just got that money swag.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that I went to Hungary and I had the best time of my life. So after I passed, I wanted to come in here and let you know that I'm going to be dropping footage from my trip in the meantime while you're watching the video. And I had the best time ever in Hungary. Can't wait to go back. I spent a lot of time in Budapest. I actually got to check out my great grandparents' hometown, Bihar biome. You're going to be seeing footage of that right now. So outside of taking the Hungarian Simplified Naturalization interview, going through the process, I definitely recommend taking a trip out there. And I just wanted to take the time out of the video to drop this in here. Had the best time of my life out there. So some of the footage that you're seeing is from my first inaugural trip to Hungary. I went out there, got to put my foot in the soil in my great-grandfather's hometown, well, his birthplace. And it was just like a life-changing experience for me. So I just wanted to put this in the video too.
We're about to start our trip to Bihar biome. Here goes the car that we got. It was like 80 bucks a day, but I paid an extra 30, 80 euros. I paid an extra 30 to get the full coverage. There should be plenty of space for me and my friend. So the journey about to start now.
Betetem alabam földé, ahol öcsiem mentünk. I put my feet in the soil where my ancestors live. We're getting out of Bihar biome right now. It's been a great time. Everyone was nice while we were here, and it's an end to the journey, at least most of it. Like a lot of my family history. I've basically been everywhere my family's been, except the last place I gotta go is Pishko, but that'd be another trip.
So I passed my interview on the first try. Very happy. I did it. I won't say where I did it, so you guys gotta watch a little while longer, but I passed. I ran into some complications that I'm gonna explain at the end of the video. But it felt good to go in there and pass. So let's get into it. My explanation is gonna be at the end. That way, if people who just want the information could get the information they want and leave. But before you leave, please like and subscribe. Now let's get into it. So I was going to start off and tell you guys about the process, but I thought it'd be good to know like who qualifies or who doesn't first. So to qualify, you need a relative who was born in Hungarian territory, and you need to speak Hungarian language at a B1 level, which is like conversational. I'll get into that when you get the teachers, but those are the requirements. They're very, very generous. A lot of programs only stop at the grandparent. But if your grandparent or parent was Hungarian, I wouldn't recommend doing this process. If the paperwork and stuff works out, I would just do Hungarian citizenship by descent. Similar process, except you don't have to learn Hungarian. So I guess in a way, very different process because Hungarian can be a difficult language for people. But you need a relative and just widen your scope on who might be a relative. If one of your relatives was from like Western Romania, just look up pre-Treaty of Trianon Hungary and see how big it was, and you may or may not qualify. My help is going to be for people who have relatives in terms of finding the documents. Relatives who were born in modern day Hungary. If you have a relative who was born in like modern day Romania, like for example, my great grandmother, she was born in modern day Romania. When she was born, it was Hungary. I heard stories that she always considered herself Hungarian, even though like it changed over to Romania at some point during her lifetime. But she is not from modern day Hungary. So I can't use the Hungarian resources that I'm going to give you to get her birth certificate or get any information because it's not in the Hungarian archives, because I guess management of those records were passed over to Romania once it became Romanian territory. So if the record does exist, it doesn't exist in the Hungarian archives, it's in the Romanian archives. So Treaty of Trianon, if you're not from modern day Hungary, your ancestor isn't, then you're probably gonna have to go to that specific country to pull the records. But And why I pull the records, because you're not going to have the ability really to go over. I mean, if you're a normal person, to go over to the country and pull the records. In some countries, you can't. So, like for Hungary, if you're interested in pulling the records, I would recommend using Hungarian roots. Hungarian helpers is going to be the people who pop up first, and you might have to use them because of this caveat. When I'm looking up Hungarian roots, they were cheaper, a lot cheaper. That's why I used them. Great service. I got the records that I needed. I even got an additional record. I got one generation further back than I was looking for. So I was very happy with the service. I paid less than $300 to get the records from Hungary, shipped over here, got my great and two great grandparents' birth certificates for the price of one, really. So he threw in, I guess, like a freebie. What you're gonna need is you're gonna need around the year they were born, like within, like I would say probably within plus or minus 2 years, and the town that they were born. Because some of the American records, they don't have like the proper birthday. So you might get a record that in America says your great great grandfather was born in 1880, but the Hungarian record might say he was born in 1881. Stuff like that's normal. But you should use Hungarian roots if I were you. The only caveat is when I use them, because one, they were cheaper. Two, when you Googled them, he made some type of mention about Jewish, and my Hungarian relatives are Jewish. My Hungarian ancestors are Jewish. So I said that would probably fit perfectly for me. So what I got back was I got mailed to me a birth certificate, kind of like a modern birth certificate for my great grandparent. But for his parent, I got a record from the Jewish archives, which is really cool. It's like an official copy. It's on like this weird type paper for my two great grandparents. And it was interesting to see that. So for further back records, I don't know if the Hungarian roots person has the ability to go to non-Jewish archives, like to get a baptismal certificate or something like that. Worth asking him first. But if not, I know people who have used Helpers Hungary to get their services done and had success with them. But I personally use Hungarian roots and I recommend them. I got two for the price of one, cheaper by, I want to say it was by a couple, like over $150 cheaper. And it worked great for me. So look into Hungarian roots first. And you need that because you need a record from Hungary, marriage certificate potentially, birth certificate. You need a record stating that they were born in a modern part, a day of Hungary. So a part of Hungary, not a day of Hungary. Their birthday on the day they were born, they were in a Hungarian land, and it doesn't have to be modern Hungarian land, it could be old Hungarian land. You guys understand that. I don't need to go into that anymore. But probably like 4 months to pull records on average. I would probably found I had to go through multiple states, go from me to my great grand, multiple states. The Hungarian record probably took like 4 months to get to me. So I'll probably say 4 records is about 4 months is how long it takes to get the records. If you get all the records at one time, you have all the dates. But if you don't have the town and you don't have the you don't have the birth date, look harder because it's just gonna make it harder or almost impossible if you don't have it. Like for the state of New York, you could do things where like you can search year, but every year additional that you search costs extra money. I mean, it only costs like $2-3, but I don't know how tight your budget is to say only. But you save yourself some money tightening down the ranges. And I don't know if Hungarian roots would have been able to help me without the birth town because I was using like Ancestry information to spell the birth town. That was the wrong spelling of the birth towns. And what I gave him on the American records, like his naturalization docs, they spelled Bihar Najbayam crazy. So I gave that to him. He's like, "That's not a town here." So I had to do some searching to tighten that up. And then once I told him Bihar Najbayam, he's like, "Oh, here, found a record." I had to go to the embassy I had to sign a record, I guess like giving them permission or requesting that. So I had to go to the embassy one time to authenticate my signature before I got the record. But that was pretty much it. It was pretty much hands off outside of that. I would ask if you're not close to an embassy, how you would do that. That'd probably be the only caveat. So to get the records, just go online. In the States, it's easy. And to get the records from Hungary, I would use Hungarian roots. And if they can't help you, use Hungarian helpers. So after you get the records, you need to translate them. I found per generation, you need about 2 documents. And you're seeing a graphic of different services. I used a combination of Hungarian translations from Rush Translate and using my Hungarian teachers. So I'm going to get into the learning the language aspect next, but that's the combination I ended up using. I didn't want my teacher to get burnt out because they're a person with life to live too. But for longer records, I definitely pulled that lever. I had like one of the marriage records was like, probably would have been like 9 pages long. It was really long. So I asked my teacher to do that because she was going to give me a better price. But I would probably say if you use a combination of Rush Translate and using one of your teachers, it's going to be probably like $50 per record. And if you need to go back to, for each generation, so yourself, parent, grandparent, great grandparent, 2 grades. So if you need to go back to your 2 grades, it's going to be like $500 to get the records. I would say budget $500. You probably can get it done for cheaper, but budget $500 if you need to go to your great 2 grades. If you need to go to your 1 grade, budget $400. So $400, $500. And if you need to go to your 3 grades, $600. I would say $100 per generation in translations is probably a good thing to budget. You'll probably come out less than that, but I would budget for that because some of those records are really long. It was like obnoxiously long. And some of the older records, they can't really change it, so it's just a long record. Not like modern records where like more condensed. There's like a lot of unnecessary information on some of them. So issue with Rush Translate, fast. I liked it. It put it in an online portal, so I always have it. It was easy to manage, but it was $25 a page. So like a modern birth certificate is 1 page, but like the 1 page for them was like 250 words. So a lot of documents have like a lot of words like around the seals and all that kind of stuff, and those words started adding up. So Rush Translate was not worth it on the more long forms. It's definitely worth getting somebody else to do it for the long forms, but to have the document, and I knew it was like a good service, I use them. So a service that I have no experience with, but I wouldn't recommend unless you're in Hungary, is Ofi, because on the website it recommends you use Ofi, but you don't actually have to use Ofi, and Ofi is probably the most expensive service here, because Ofi isn't going to give you the certified translation if you live in America. So if you live in Hungary, use Ofi, but if you don't live in Hungary, you're just paying more really for no reason. So I wouldn't use Ofi. Very expensive. I'm sure they do great work. If I had issues, then I would have been like, dang, I'm gonna go to Ofi. But Ofi is gonna be more expensive. I would probably budget maybe like another 25-30% if you want to use Ofi. They might change the rules by the time you see this or something. You have to use Ofi, but just know Ofi's a little bit more expensive. I recommend doing a mix of using your teacher and using your Rush Translate or another translation service so your teacher doesn't get burnt out, depending on how far back you gotta go, depending on your relationship with your teacher. But that's my recommendation. Budget $100 per generation to get the documents done. And after you get the documents done, you're gonna have to get them authenticated when you get to the embassy. And that's why I didn't say Ofi. And to get them authenticated, I probably budget another $200 to get them authenticated. So if you're going to your 2 great grands and need to get your documents authenticated, I would budget like $700 for paperwork. It's kind of expensive, but if $700 is going to be real tight in your budget, I wouldn't really start the process right now. Well, I would start the process of maybe slowly chipping away at getting this stuff, because getting the record, because that's almost like $1,000. Getting the record from Hungary, getting the other records from America translated and ordering them. Yeah, you're probably looking at like $1,000, if not a little bit more, just in paperwork fees. So just put that to the side, or maybe just slowly get your paperwork if that's too much money. Just as you have the money, okay, I got a little extra this check, I'm gonna get the paperwork from New York. I got a little extra this check, I'm gonna get the paperwork from New Jersey, wherever. But that'd be my, giving it to you really how it is probably gonna be like $1,000 for paperwork for this process. So just wrap your head around that. 500 for translations, 200 for authentications, maybe another 100 or so getting the documents in the United States, 100, 200 getting the documents in the United States and mailing them and doing all that stuff. So that takes you to what, 900? And then, yeah, about $1,000 is what it's going to cost you to just get the documents. And then not including the one big or couple big documents from Hungary, it's going to cost you another like 200. So, $1,000, $1,100. Just talking the rough numbers out loud, just something to consider that it's not a free process. And that's why if you are within 2 generations, grandparent, I would consider doing the other process, citizenship by descent, because you don't have to pay for this other part, the lessons. So I learned Hungarian. I started Duolingo when I started my process. Got frustrated, took a little break. So my number might not be your number. It took me like 300 days from starting Duolingo, my Duolingo streak. And I did Duolingo every day from when I started the process. And I took lows and highs. It took me about 300 days to get to B1 Hungarian. So almost a year. So you're looking at $1,000 in almost a year. I'm not going to get into the prices for how much it costs to do the lessons because I wanted to put that in a separate video. I feel like this is more nuanced and it would need more time than this video I wanted to allocate for it. So if there's a market for it, let me know in the comment section, and I'll make a new video where I'm going to break down my different teachers, the different methods that I use. I'll rank all the teachers because I did, how many teachers did I use? I used 3 teachers who were just like online teachers, like online tutors. And I used 1 official service, one of the expensive ones. It's like 2 or 3 expensive ones when you're looking to the process to get Hungarian Simplified Naturalization. And I did one of them. And I can give you a review, but I'm going to put that review probably behind a 99-cent paywall because I don't want my teachers to get burnt out. I want to give you guys good recommendations, but the teachers I'm going to give you, they're pretty good. I'm going to give you their prices and I'm going to give you like a review of their personality. That's if people want this. And I didn't just want to put them here and then they get burnt out from a whole bunch of people just taking one lesson. If you're not willing to pay 99 cents to see the video, you would probably take one lesson and just annoy the teacher and they might stop offering classes because they just get like a whole bunch of one lesson. Somebody sees this video, get excited, one lesson. So to protect their time, and if I get, let's say 10 comments on it, then I'll make a video for the teachers. And it'll just be behind I'll make a YouTube short to let you guys know I dropped it. And I'll just put it behind like a 99-cent paywall just to protect the teachers. If you're not willing to pay 99 cents, you're not really serious, and just to protect their time. That's one of the things why they want to put it here, because I didn't want a lot of people to just try them out one time. And then the students who are really serious not get to use these teachers or not get to take advantage of this information that I took time to compile. One of the programs is like, I want to say like $2,500. It was over like $2,000. So if you're interested in taking one of those programs that's over $2,000, 99 cents, I think it's worth it. My other teachers were great. I'll tell you about how many lessons it took. So I took 1, 2, 3. I took like three teachers I was really taking and I felt comfortable reviewing. Try multiple ones, and I'll do a breakdown of those 3. List a couple of other ones that I was taking and why I stopped taking them. List the big one, the big expensive one that I took, and do a breakdown that way so you guys can get like another 20-minute video on it and save a lot of time and money, because it's an expensive process, it's a grueling process, and I want you guys to have the best possible time. So application, this is another thing. So now that you know Hungarian, You spent your 300 days, now you know Hungarian, or however long it takes you. You're smarter than me, probably 30 days. You did your 30 days, you know Hungarian, 4 months to get your paperwork, you're ready to go. This is probably one of the biggest hints I want to give you. I would say don't use one of those expensive services to do the application. When you get your teacher, take an hour, 2 hours, tell your teacher, I'm going to book these next 4 lessons with you. And we're just going to go through the application together. Don't pay somebody to do it because they just do so many, they're not paying attention to you. I wouldn't pay somebody to do it. They're just doing so many, they're not really paying attention. I wouldn't pay one of the big services to do it. People that I've talked to had bad reviews of them, and some of my teachers had to clean it up. So I wouldn't use one of those services. I would just, in the class, say instead of doing a class for an hour, do just work on your application. Just do it that way. Because now you learn the language, you have your paperwork, and now you just need to fill out the application. Application's a little complicated, and you want to know what's in your application, because in your application you got to write your Uni Letras, which is like your biography. You got to write a biography. You got to rewrite it in person. So you want to go over that with your teacher because you want to know everything that's in there, because they can ask you about anything that's in there. You don't want to ship it off to one of those people who just do so many. That's what they do all day. You want to do it with somebody who cares about you. Because in that Uni Letras, they can ask you about anything in there, and you're gonna have to rewrite it while you're there. Not verbatim, but you're gonna need to know what's in there well enough in your Uni Letras. You have to write that by hand anyway. They can't help you write that, but when you write your Uni Letras, that's the information that they can ask you about, and they can ask you about anything else on your application form. So you got your application form, Uni Letras. Do you want to work with the person you've been working with for a while, and not a really high fee-based person? So you know what's in your application, you know what to put in your Uni Letras, make sure that it matches up and there's no inconsistencies that you would have to explain there. So I think that's a good summation. And now I'm going to talk about my experience. I booked my interview in Washington, D.C., July 26th. So I go in there, I have my book that you're seeing. This is me at my great grandfather's hometown. And it was a really nice time when I went there. But so I brought this book with me, kissed the book before I sat down. I buzzed through the front door, and the front door man, I speak to him in Hungarian. He's like, come on in, man. So I go in there, there's like a little kid getting help first with like the citizenship. The little kid was adopted. I was so nervous, and it was quiet in there. The little kid was getting adopted. And he got adopted, and they were trying to see if he wanted to get his own passport because he was about to be like 17 or 18 or something. Did they want to do a passport for him? That's how nervous I was. So I drive up there. I get a hotel in DC the night before. Not in DC because it is in DC, but I get a hotel right outside of DC. Drive there, walk up. So now I'm inside. I tell them I have an interview right now. They go in, they come back. I got my paperwork with me. And I'm just sitting there nervous. The guy from the front desk, he comes out, he speaks to me in English and says don't be nervous. But then I get really nervous because 2 people come out. So I don't know if they were training the other woman. I think they were training the other girl, but I'm like, there's only supposed to be 1 person here. But probably a tip I would give you. I'll give the tip in the video, in the 99-cent video, because I don't want it to become like a commonplace thing for that tip. But a tip I would say is practice your interview on the way there. So it's just like you just practice your Uni Letras. It's fresh in your memory. That's how I would do it. But so I'm there, I'm sitting there, they're asking me a question, and it's like I got this issue in my application, so I had to explain that first. And I'm like, oh wow, how'd you know that? I brought the book that you guys saw, brought that book with me. She's asking me questions about the book. I'm like, it's the book I have is the history of my great grandparents' hometown. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I read the book. It was a really good time. I was nervous. 2 people come out, ask me the questions. So I get to a point where they say I pass. I tell them the issue is my application. She's straight up with me, and she tells me, I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to send it over. I'll tell them that you did a good job with your interview and that you passed. So I'll probably say the interview took about like 30 minutes of them asking me questions. My interview is going to be a little bit different because I went in there with the purpose of explaining what I could say. I think they were impressed that I was able to explain the issues that I'm going to talk about soon with my application. I think they were impressed with that. There's 2 people. They were really nice. So I would recommend doing it in DC if you can come out here or drive up here. Or if you're allowed to, book DC because they were really nice. The lady was really nice. And that was the second time that I met her. And the front desk man, that was like the second time that I met him. Because when I had to go up there for to get the letter signed that I told you guys I had to get signed to get my great grandparents' paperwork, he was there too, and I tried to speak in Hungarian to him. Of course he doesn't remember. I tried to speak in Hungarian to him, horrible Hungarian that I learned the night before. And he was like, I had no idea what you were saying, man, just come in. So those 2 people were nice, even times when I wasn't taking the interview. So they were nice to me coming in, just talking, not knowing any Hungarian. When I first met the guy at the front desk, he said, oh, hopefully this works out. You'll be a citizen one day. So people are really nice. I would recommend doing it in DC. I would recommend your unilatras, doing that. And then I was excited because I had a trip to Hungary planned. If I didn't explain this part well enough, just let me know. And I can explain more. If you guys want to hear more about this, I could do a part 2. But the piece de resistance. So part of my unilatras, I told them I'm going to Hungary in September because I wanted to go see my great-grandparents' homeland. So the issue with my application is...
Van egy probléma. Probléma van nagymama születési anyagovi kivonata, mert mikor az anya terhes lett, férjes volt, de a DNS-tes biztontja, a nagymamám nem lehet mondatási, mert meghalt. So, wrong dudes on my grandma's birth certificate, because my grandma was born. Crazy stuff, how the laws were back then. So I tried to provide DNA evidence relevant to say like, hey, that's not her actual biological father. Stuff was going on. Infidelity was going on back in the day. And it was just whoever you were married to at the time was a father, even if that wasn't your biological father. So I'm going to Budapest today. I'm in Budapest. So I'm going there today with a letter explaining my case, to hopefully champion for myself to get my citizenship approved, because I got the interview and they wanted additional documents. But you can't change birth certificate after someone has passed away on like New York state law. So if I can't get them to accept, and I have a letter speaking to that fact from New York State, if I can't get them to accept that fact, then I pretty much can't get Hungarian citizenship. But fingers crossed, got my lucky shirt on underneath. I'm gonna go there suited and booted, and let you guys know how it goes. All right, guys, I'm on the streets of Budapest. Going down there to make my case. Wish me luck. Got Hungary over my heart right now. Hopefully, they'll accept my application. I'm still like genetically part Hungarian. So hopefully they'll look at this and understand that I can't. There's nothing if I could change it, I would. I tried to change it and I couldn't. It's like against the law for me to change it. But hopefully, I'm making an argument on the second half of the law because it says your ancestor was a Hungarian citizen or is likely to be of Hungarian origin. I think I put a case together. It's kind of thick that speaks to that effect. So hopefully, I'm gonna go in there humbly, speak the best Hungarian I can, and hope for the best. Update so far, have not gotten there yet. Having some trouble getting a ride up there. There's like this big traffic jam. So like in the next couple minutes, I'll be in the car. I was able to talk to a Hungarian teacher, and
she gave me like some words of advice and helped me, I guess, talk through what I was going to say before I got there. So shout outs to her. She took a lot of pressure on my mind. And got to go for broke. So I went up there and they said that they don't handle those applications in person. So I gotta send an email, but the email might be better if I can find out sooner. I was trying to do it in person, but it just didn't work out. So I'm like, go back to the hotel room. Just she's probably use a scanner app on my phone, and then scan it, send it in, and do it that way. I went all the way out there. They said that there was no point in coming in person because they don't do the age stuff in person. So I'm here with my man Tim. He came with me to Budapest.
You already know.
So we just taking a shot. I'm gonna send an email later today, but I just need a little break before I do that, and hopefully I get the citizenship.
Sorry if I my great grandparent, both of my grandma's parents, right? My grandma's half Hungarian, half black. Her parents were married to other people, and they were both cheating on their spouses and had her. So this is 1940s when my grandma was born. So the parent on her birth certificate isn't her biological parent. She knew who her parent was. Like, she met her her full Jewish half siblings. So she knew her family, but why would you care about what's on your birth? It usually doesn't matter really. So that was my issue. So right before I'm going to Hungary, I randomly go to my mom's house because I got that letter sent to my mom's house because the mail was just better there. So I got the letter sent to my mom's house, and then I just randomly go over there. The day before I'm taking my trip to Hungary, I get a letter in the mail from the embassy of Hungary. I'm like, oh man, this is it. So I rip it open, and then one of the things is, I'm reading it. It's in Hungarian. I'm reading it. I'm like, no, this can't be true. And then I get the translator out, and then it's like, oh yeah, that is what it says. So they told me that the birth line can't be substantiated. So part of my application was really thick. It was like this thick. And I gave Ancestry DNA tests. I gave messages from my cousin. I gave a whole these tests for my grandma, my Jewish relatives. I gave DNA evidence, other records, other family testimony, not other records, explaining the situation, and they were just like, no. You got till April to give us some paperwork. They said your story, we understand what's going on, but sorry. So grandma born in wedlock, but through infidelity, her biological parents not on there. They tell me, so my issue is I need some type of document that substantiates that is in fact her biological parent. So right now, I got one more thing that I'm trying, because she was born in New York, to get the birth certificate changed. I talked to a lawyer about it. He kind of said it was kind of too late. So that blows. But my ancestry is still Hungarian. I tried and I passed the interview, which is the hardest part. I got one more thing that I'm trying. Fingers crossed that it's going to work. I'll find out in a couple weeks. If I get this record, if this record does exist, then I'll be able to give it to the Hungarian embassy and get Hungarian citizenship. If this record doesn't exist and it doesn't substantiate that is who her parent is, then I won't be able to get it, at least of now. Hopefully the rules change if I can't get it, but I'm gonna have fingers crossed that I can. I got a couple billable hours with a lawyer ready to go if it's necessary, but I ran into a roadblock because my infidelity in my family, way down the line, is causing issues today. So as of today, I don't have it, but I passed the test. I can show you guys that if you guys don't believe me. I passed the test, but may or may not be able to get citizenship. But I'm going to try everything that I can and just hope for the best. So if you, I think his name is Dr. Sarah Bond. If you see this, please work with your boy if you can. If not, I understand. It's just going to be hurtful because, you know, Hungarian's a hard language to learn. But at least one day I'll be able to sit back and say, like, at least I tried. Because it's just tough to put so much work into something and it not work out. And I still got faith that it's going to work out, but I'm rambling. I won't hold you guys any longer. Just a little painful to go through that, but I think it's going to work out. And if you guys need any help or you guys want that video, just let me know. I'll make the video. I'll just want to put it behind a 99-cent paywall because I don't want them to get too busy. Because some of the teachers have like kids, they got lives, significant others, other things to do, and take on a whole bunch of one lesson people. I want people who really want help and willing to actually spend the money that it's going to take to do it to get the help that they need. So if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and let me know if you want that other.